How's it going, everybody? This is Beat the Bush. Today I'm going to review these two level 2 EV chargers from IYILO. One of them is a plugged version. This is a 14-50 and also a 48 amp hardwired version. This EV charger has the latest generation feature, which is to integrate the temperature sensor right in the charge connector and also right at the charge plug. Many faults in EV chargers come from connectors that are not connected properly, something that is not torqued down. Maybe the charge plug does not have enough pressure to hold it in place. And when that happens, a fire would result if it's not kept in check. This EV charger is unique in that if it senses that it gets too hot, it's gonna throttle itself all the way to the point where if it's really, really hot, it will completely shut itself off. If it cools down enough, there's a bit of hysteresis in there and it's gonna start back up the charging at a low level. With the wired version, it still has a temperature sensor in the charge connector, but the hardwire cables does not have a temperature sensor. So there's no equivalent of what's in this guy. You can optionally order it with an energy meter and CT sensors, which senses how much current your whole house is using. Sometimes the amount of current that you can use is limited by your service line. My service line can only go up to 90 amps. Newer homes will go up to 200 amps. So this hardwired version is smart enough to look at how much current the entire house is using and throttle itself accordingly so that it does not exceed whatever you set for the whole home amperage. Let me go back and unbox these guys first. How to get started card, foam piece, user manual, wall template for mounting the back plate, quick installation guide, a sticker sheet to label your circuit breakers, and 2 RFID cards. There's a conduit fitting for hardwired installations. You remove the power cable and put this one in instead. Here's a charge handle with a J1772 connector. There's 2 main cables that are 9 gauge, 1 10 gauge cable, and 6 22 gauge cables. Here's a main charge unit. And this plug type is the 14-51. The holster is included right in the main charge unit. Let's plug that in. The mounting plate is pre-installed on the back. You gotta remove it yourself with these 2 screws on the side. Take a look in here. 5 screws, 4 washers, some expanding bolts, and an Allen wrench for those security torque screws. That's on the side right here. That's it to this thing. This is the hardwired version with the energy meter. Same instruction card, same packet, same charge connector. There's a tube now to connect the wires. The main cables are the same 2 9 gauge wires. And instead, we have these hardwired connections that are pre-crimped at the end, so that's nice. It's labeled line 1, line 2, and ground. At the bottom, there's more stuff. There are these 2 CT sensors. I can go up to 200 amps. The end connections are pigtail wires. Over here is an Eastron branded energy meter that they just packaged together with this EV charger. We have the same 2 packages of screws and then bolts. Lastly, you have the power cable for the energy meter. You're supposed to just power directly off of one of the breakers that you choose and go into here, and this will power this meter. This connector here that you connect to the bottom of the EV charger, you unscrew this and we see the same 3-prong connector. You just connect that right there. You have to kind of build your own cable here that goes from here out of this connector and into this energy meter. I'm in my garage and first we're gonna install the plug-in version. It involves drilling 4 holes in the wall, putting the plate down, sticking the charger on top of the plate and locking it in place with 2 screws. This charger has a holster built right into the charger, so there's only one thing to mount. It comes with 2 types of screws, 5 wood screws and 4 washers over here. The wood screws are for you to screw into studs. But if you try to use these on drywall, it's not going to work as well. It actually does not come with any drywall plastic anchor, so I'm going to recommend that to the company because when you use this template, most of the time you're not going to have 2 studs spaced exactly this much apart. It also comes with 5 expanding screws. These types are the ones that you can mount into brick walls. Of course, that would mean you need a drill that can drill into brick walls. The most difficult part would be to have a 50 amp plug. You could technically try to use one from the washer. I have one right here that's installed that's connected to my main panel. This is a 6-50 amp plug. The one that's included in this charger is a 14-50 plug, so I'm gonna need a converter. I don't recommend to use an extension like this for any long-term use. I'm only doing this for testing purposes. It even actually lines up with some of the holes that I already have. But if you were to drill holes, you stick this to where you want to drill, and I'm gonna pretend to drill this. In my case, there's a stud right here. There's no stud right here. Just remove the screws. There's another one on the other side. Take care of the orientation. These longer flaps is towards the bottom. For this screw, I have a different anchor in there, so I'm going to use a smaller screw that I have. Now you just put this right on top of the plate, slide it downwards, lock it in, and put the security torque screws on either side to lock it in place. I need a converter from a 6-50 to the 14-50, which is the one that's in this charger. Plug that in. And this guy, plug it in there. There's a little lip up here. I like to dress the cable so that it has very big loops so I don't have to fiddle with, unrolling them a lot. You can either use the connector right in the EV charger, like that, or many times I just hang it right over the EV charger like this. Turn on the breaker. It's on, it beeps. I hear a couple of clicks. Now it has the IYILO app. Let's open that up. I'm gonna select to add the new device. It's searching via Bluetooth. It has found it. Then it will ask you for your Wi-Fi information. Put that in and it'll connect. Once it has connected, the Wi-Fi icon is gonna turn green. I can change it from 6 amps to 40 amps in increments of 1 amp at a time. I can set a schedule on the lower right, one-time schedule or recurring schedule, charging stats for 24-hour, the week, the month, or the year. In the app, there's this little icon down here that says plug temperature in Fahrenheit, connector temperature in Fahrenheit. Both are around 68 degrees right now. This is the ambient temperature. I'm gonna have to heat up this connector here, not over here because the temperature sensor is not here. So I'm gonna simulate that with a heat gun on this connector right here. Let me plug it in and then we can try this out. Because this is a plug version, even though you have a 50 amp plug, you have to derate it by 20%. Therefore, you can only push 40 amps through this thing. So whenever they sell you a plug version, it's only 40 amps. The way the temperature sensor works is that if it reaches 185 degrees Fahrenheit, it will step down from 40 amps to 32 amps. And if it reaches 203 degrees Fahrenheit, it'll cut it off completely at 0 amps. Once it cuts it off, it's naturally gonna cool down a bit. When it reaches less than 195 degrees Fahrenheit, it's gonna start charging at 32 amps again. When it drops below 176 degrees Fahrenheit, it'll go back to 40 amps charging again. 185 degrees Fahrenheit, when it starts doing anything, is actually quite hot. Things start to feel really hot when you can't really touch it and hold it anymore. It's around 140 degrees. So at 185, you really shouldn't touch it. I'm gonna start charging. We can hear a click right there. 241.09 volts. Power at 9.72 kilowatts. Current is 40.32 amps. 6 minutes and 2 seconds duration. This is how long it's been plugged in, not how long it's been charging. And you have the total energy and the estimated cost. You're gonna have to put in how much it costs per kilowatt in your own app. The connector at the car is rising. It's 72.32 degrees Fahrenheit right now. This plug temperature is 68 degrees Fahrenheit. I know the most this will ever go is probably 90 degrees or 100 degrees Fahrenheit if I let it charge for an hour. So I'm gonna have to manually make it hotter. Just half a degree more. It says high temperature, current is reduced, 32 amps. Now it's 184. Wall temperature back to normal. Let's let it cool down. Externally, I melted it a little bit. It went up to 260 degrees. I can feel that it's warm right here on the cable. It's probably really, really hot right there, as it shows on the thermal, 268 degrees. Going further, if the plug's temperature goes over 200 degrees Fahrenheit, the charge current will cut off completely from 32 amps. After that, it'll say the wall plug overheated, charging stopped, check the wall outlet to avoid potential damage. In this clip, the thermal camera shows that the outside of the plug is 191 degrees Fahrenheit. The way the plug got heated up in this clip is that it's not plugged in all the way, so there's extra resistance. Naturally, the prongs and the inside of the plug is gonna be hotter than the outside. The current went back up to about 40 amps, around 181 degrees Fahrenheit. So if it cools down enough, then the charge current will restore back to normal. I'm skeptical of bringing the plug up to 203 degrees Fahrenheit and have it completely cut off. Suffice to know that if it reaches a certain temperature, it really does cut off a little bit. And then when it comes down, it's gonna bring that current back. Now I have the hardwired version. It uses the same backing plate as the plug version. So I just removed that one. And all we have to do is put it right on top, put the 2 security screws in on the side, Now these cables need to go into this box. If you don't have a junction box or a plug already installed, you probably need to hire an electrician to do this for you. I'm just gonna illustrate how to connect this to the junction box only. Let's add in this little tubing thing. At the bottom, it accepts this tube, so you just snap it right in, and there are these little tabs that holds it in place. As long as you push it in, it becomes very hard to pull back out. Open this guy up, and this junction is just gonna press right up against here. First, I'm double checking the circuit breaker for this is turned off. But I want to double check it to make sure there's no voltage there. That is correct. And across ground, yep. So now it's safe to work on this. The line 1, line 2 is 6 gauge wire. The green is 8 gauge. This says we need a 45 pound-inch torque for a 6 gauge line. And it's 40 pound-inch for an 8 gauge ground. I'm setting my torque wrench to right there, 45. We'll connect line 2 first. Right there, 45. Connect the line 1. That click means it's 45. Set it to 40. My ground screw is a little mangled. All right, the power connection is done. Little word of warning with this type of box. It's not meant for EV charging. It's not meant for continuous loads, even though it's rated at 60 amps. If I were to do it again, I would upgrade this to the lever type where it can handle continuous currents a bit better. Here's a list of all the things that you need to connect to this power meter in terminals 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 17, 18, 19, and 20. 1, 2, 3 is this green block right here. I've made my own 2-conductor shielded cable. Each conductor is individually shielded in this case, but I'm just gonna tie the 2 shields together. It'll act the same. The shielded thing is to prevent from interference. Here's the connector. Just unscrew that, hold on to the end connector, and then twist it off. Right there. Connect 1 to shield, 2 to red, and 3 to blue, or whatever color that you have on your cable. Use this included screwdriver to open position 1. Make sure you thread in the screw caps first. Put the ground into position 1 and tighten it. I have red marked over here with some electrical tape. Put that in and screw it into place. And lastly, blue, but I don't have blue here. This is a white wire, and screw that into place. Make sure it's secure by tugging it a little bit. Now I'm going to tie this frayed shroud together inside the housing. Slide this connector all the way up and twist it into place. Make sure this little rubber piece is underneath these little fingers so that it'll grip onto the cable. And then screw this in to act as a strain relief. After you do that, it's very secure. Underneath the charger, there's a connector right in the center. Just open that up and plug your cable in. Twist it a little bit until it drops in. Then screw in this collar on the top. The next part requires you to strap these CT sensors around the mains incoming wire. You can kind of see it exposed in my setup over here. It's not supposed to do that. I have a transfer switch here, which allows me to just push this up to the off position and this won't be powered anymore. Before I had this, there's another breaker outside the house where you can flip it and this will be de-energized. Other panels might have a main breaker right at the top, but that just de-energizes the power to the rest of the house, not the incoming wires. So be very careful, especially if you cannot turn it off. Most likely you should have a certified electrician do this for you. Now I'm gonna turn off the power to the entire house and you'll see all the lights turn off. Just like that. I'm gonna turn it back on with a power bank that I have. Now we have the power. Now I'm going to remove this plate here for the main panel. Double check there's no voltage in the incoming wires. 12.6 millivolts. Between that and neutral, 11 millivolts. That's good. 4.7 millivolts. So everything checks out. It's not energized. Line 1 is black. Line 2 is red. First, you got to find a spot for this. If my whole house energy monitor is not here, I would put it right there. You probably want to avoid putting it somewhere up here because it's close to the mains lines. But I actually have no other room for this, so I'm going to stick it here temporarily. Put one of the CT scanner in. There's an arrow pointing down. That's towards the house. So I'm just going to lock it in right here. Put the other one in towards the house. Open these flaps on the top and on the bottom. It says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The top goes 9 through 20. But there's also this one that says 1, 2, 3. When we connect the cable from the EV charger, it goes into here, not 1, 2, 3 over here. Here's the end of the cable that comes from the EV charger. You just push down on this lever and insert the shield. 2 is red. And 3 is the remaining cable. There we go. I got all 3 connected. These cables are coming from the CT sensor, the line 1. 17 is black for line 1, and 18 right here is white for line 1. When I turn this open, that little slot opens up, put in line 1 black, and then close it back up. Put in the white cable for line 1, CT, close it back up. CT sensor for line 2, the black line goes in 19. CT sensor for line 2, white wire goes into 20. Now we have to do is power this from pin 5 and 6. We use this included cable. Pull these open. Position 5 is red. Put that in here. Close it up. Twist these a little bit so they don't get frayed. The power neutral goes into position 6. Punch a hole for that cable to run through into the panel. Remove that little piece. Now I'm going to run this wire into the panel through this little hole right here. We attach this power to any of the breakers, whichever one that you like, and the black wire goes to neutral. Neutral is the white one that's coming in over here, and it goes kind of down here and wraps up back up, so it's kind of like hidden in the back there. So I'm just going to attach it to one of these breakers down here. If you want it a little bit easier to work on, you can remove the breaker, take a better look at it over here so we can see that hole in there. Sneak in the power to the power meter as well. It says 25 inch-pound, so I'm making sure I torque it back, put it back. And then I'm just gonna connect this neutral. It's really hard to get in there, so I'm gonna move the camera away and do it off camera. It's that black wire right here with the little red tip. There's an open position for neutral right there, and I was able to snake the wire from behind up, and the power wire is right here. What we have now is all of this is wired up, and I can just try to shove it right here. Dress the wire so that it all fits in there. It's kind of crazy how it looks right now. This is temporary. I would rather put it down here instead. Put those little cover things on the energy meters back on. Let me turn on the power. Turn on these power right there. That is good news because it's turned on. I found a page where it says line 1 is 4.0 amps, line 2 is 2.3 amps. So that lets me know that this is installed properly. I've decided to leave off the main panel cover so that we can see the amperage that the whole house is using from this energy meter. In order to turn on the energy monitoring, go to the upper left-hand corner, select advanced, select load balancing, select your charger, which is just the first thing. Turn on enable dynamic load balancing, and enter the breaker rating, which is how much the entire house is rated for. Mine is 90 amps because before this panel, there's another breaker that's rated at 90 amps. So I'm going to put 90. Make sure to select submit at the bottom, and it's going to configure it. Notice that you can also get the real-time meter reading right there. It says 3.4 amps. Right here, it also says 3.4 amps on line 2. I plugged it into my car, started at 48 amps. Okay, now it's at 48 amps. Line 1 is the one that's consuming 48 amps. Line 2 is consuming other stuff, including another heater that's on right now. So that's why it says 59 amps. I'm gonna go off camera a little bit and turn on some stoves, some heater, the microwave, and then we can see the amperage drop down. Turning on one stove, second stove, third stove, fourth stoves, turning on baking, start, all of that is on, and then I'm gonna turn on the microwave. Oh, look, the amperage dropped down to 26. Turn on the microwave too. A lot of stuff is turned on. It's 21 amps now, and the total current coming out of the house is 74 amps on line 1 and 79 amps on line 2. So it's under. Without this, it definitely will go over, you know, like 10-20 amps or so. One at a time now. I'm gonna turn everything off, and then we're gonna see the amperage go back up. Turn off one stove, two stoves, three stoves, four stoves, and also the oven. Turn them all off right now, and also a heater. And now the amperage went back up to 48 amps. So there you have it. The energy meter works. It throttles the entire house. For many EV chargers, it does not have this feature. If you connect a 48 amp hardwired charger to your house, it's going to consume 48 amps the entire time, and then you can go and turn on some stoves and heaters or dryers, and that can easily go over the amperage that's incoming into your home. When that happens, you can do it for a short time, and the danger would be having the current go for too long and things are going to heat up. It's not rated for that much current. When things heat up, things start to melt, things catch on fire, so that's a hazard right there. This type of energy monitoring, make sure that you don't go over. And it's smart to attach this type of feature to things that use a lot of current, like your home EV charger. I really like this energy monitoring one because it would make sure that you don't go over the current in the house. If you guys are interested in getting this IYILO EV charger with energy monitoring, check out my affiliate link down in the video description below. Thanks for watching this video. Until next time.